Now on CoastTV News.
A protest about protesting. Why people in Ocean View are pushing back on a new town rule and where the council stands on keeping that rule. Financial literacy and federal cutbacks. Delaware State Treasurer answering questions at a town hall in Milford tonight. And a coastal highway crash. Police explain what sent 3 people to the hospital today.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Restoring protesting rights. That's what people in Ocean View say they were fighting for today. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Welcome to our news at 11. We begin tonight with that protest in Ocean View. It comes after a restrictive ordinance was approved back in July, and today that ordinance getting a second look from the town council. Coast TV reporter Kevin Zappe tells us what the council decided today.
Cheryl Siskin is one of the many protesters outside the Ocean View Town Hall in hopes of appealing a recent ordinance that passed in town.
To put unreasonable burdens on the right of free speech has been prohibited under our Constitution for hundreds of years.
In July, the Ocean View Council passed an ordinance that put requirements in place for people to peacefully protest on town property, which includes a permit fee of $150, a 36-hour notice, protesting only between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., and no masks allowed. This prompted the American Civil Liberties Union in Delaware to step in, sending a letter to the town saying putting time restrictions and requiring the 36-hour notice violates the First Amendment.
To put a valid time, place, or manner restriction on where people can protest like that need to be subject to the First Amendment.
This prompted people to protest outside the town hall on Tuesday, and for the Ocean View Council to review the ordinance for a future repeal. After some discussion, the town decided to wait until October to make any decisions, something protesters were not a fan of.
They decided to defer for a rewrite, which would require at least another 3-month process. So in the interim, an unconstitutional ordinance is still in effect here in Ocean View. And I'm very disappointed about that.
According to the Ocean View Council, the current ordinance is still in effect, but could be thrown away altogether in the future. I'm Kevin Zappe, Ocean View, Coast TV News.
Delaware State Police are investigating this coastal highway car crash that happened earlier today around 3:45. Troopers tell us a Nissan Rogue was heading south, approaching Hudson Road near Milton when a Subaru Forester was traveling east on Hudson Road but failed to remain stopped at that stop sign. The front of the Nissan then hit the side of the Subaru. We're told the Nissan driver was taken to the hospital with serious injuries, and the Subaru driver and also a passenger were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Now we're looking live outside into Ocean City, and we're going to turn it over to our chief meteorologist, Paul Williams. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening to you. And right now we're enjoying quiet conditions, but it's still very cloudy. A great deal of drizzle, and we're preparing ourselves for a Wednesday of rain. We'll get it out of here eventually. I'm having a stuttering problem tonight, so we'll try it again. 65 degrees right now in Salisbury. We'll stay in the mid-60s. Mostly cloudy skies, staying pretty persistent for us. Now, we're in the 60s throughout the entire Delmarva Peninsula, at 64 in Millsboro, as well as Georgetown, 65 right now in Delmar and Gumboro. The winds are still gusting out of the northeast. We have a 32-mile-per-hour gust in Indian River Inlet, 23-mile-per-hour wind gust recorded in Rehoboth Beach, 21-mile-per-hour wind gust Ocean City. Small craft advisory now activated until the morning time for us. Going into Wednesday morning at 7 o'clock with our small craft advisory. And then we're going to be concerned about the possibility of dealing with some coastal flooding as well. We'll talk about that in detail coming up in a moment. Till then, back to you, Christina.
Thank you, Paul. In Milford tonight, Delaware State Treasurer Colleen Davis hosting a town hall meeting. She said she was looking to answer some questions and concerns about the state's finances and the local impact of federal budget cuts. Coast TV photojournalist Matt Hipsman takes us there.
A big part of what we try to do is ensure that some of the work that we're doing inside of the office actually makes it out into the community. We do so much work to ensure that our plans are producing returns for people, making sure that the programs that I'm responsible for, again, are not only doing what we expect it to do, but to kind of hear from people, to know whether or not it truly is making the impact that we're hoping for.
Really happy to hear what you said about the deferred compensation plan, how it has grown.
I was really happy to learn that the 457B plan, which is known to the state employees as deferred compensation, and I think that it would be nice if more state employees understood it and were able to, even for a few dollars a pay, start into putting money into it.
They're brutally honest with how poor they have to be.
A big part of what the ABLE accounts do for Delawareans is it provides an opportunity essentially for disabled people to save money outside of the amount of money that would normally be affected by their benefits. And in a world where you're only allowed to save $2,000, that's essentially poverty.
The ABLE plan ensures that people who are living with disabilities are able to invest and set aside monies that do not necessarily threaten their eligibility for benefits for health care and their Social Security benefits.
What Ms. Davis is doing is just taking a hands-on role in trying to understand what these very real limitations are, because a lot of these limitations were built around archaic structures when disabled people were not intended to be part of society.
According to Sussex County officials, Governor Matt Meyer's office reached out to the Sussex County Council asking to possibly make a change to marijuana zoning ordinances. Right now, a rule from last year has all marijuana stores 3 miles away from schools and churches in Sussex County. On your screen now are the 4 retail dispensaries here in the county. The Frankfort location is the only store within town limits. The Lewis, Rehoboth, and Georgetown stores are all outside of town or city limits. Now, one Millsboro local CoastTV spoke with says she thinks no changes should be made.
I like the restrictions they have on it so that like high schoolers or middle schoolers can't easily walk to the dispensaries.
If the council chooses to revise the ordinance, the process would include introducing a new ordinance and then scheduling some public hearings. This does bring us to our CoastTV poll. We want to know, how far would you drive for legal cannabis? Looking at the updated results now, 10% say no more than 5 miles, 41% say 5 to 15 miles, 5% 15 to 30 miles, 44% though, they say more than 30 miles. And we also have a comment tonight from William in Rehoboth. I don't think he's driving anywhere for recreational marijuana. He says, I'm 79, I've never smoked pot, and I have no desire to start now, so I don't even want it in the state. Thank you for sharing your comment, William. We appreciate it. You can leave your own comment and you can still vote. Just go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Maryland Governor Wes Moore is officially seeking a second term. Moore announcing today he will run for re-election next year. It comes as the rising Democrat has faced speculation about a potential presidential bid in 2028. But this is what he had to say about the state of the nation and the role of governor in a state right next door to D.C.
When we're watching the chaos from Washington, that the people of this state want to know that they have a fighter as governor. They want to know that they have a governor who is focused on things like being able to jumpstart our economy, to keep our streets safe, to focus on public education, to make sure that we are bringing fiscal discipline, when we're watching the absolute opposite from people in Washington.
Moore's travels to the early primary state of South Carolina and national media appearances have fueled speculation about his future political ambitions. He was elected as governor first in 2022. The brand new police barrack in Berlin is getting ready to open its doors, and with some state-of-the-art technology. There's now keyless entry and card readers on all of the doors. It's the second barrack in the state to have a Sally port for safer unloadings into the building. There's even a digital forensics lab. Lieutenant Earl Starner has been with the barrack for 24 years. He says he's ready for the upgrade.
It's a super exciting time. I've spent a large part of my career here. It's an exciting time for the men and women of the Berlin Barrack, and it's an exciting time for our partners here in Worcester County and the entire community.
And the new barrack also includes overnight quarters for when extra police support is needed, including when there are big events in Ocean City. Making national headlines, a repeat criminal offender is now facing a federal charge in the horrific fatal stabbing of a Ukrainian refugee on a Charlotte, North Carolina train last month. The Ukrainian woman's death is still sparking outrage in the city and all the way to the White House. Sherelle Hubbard has the latest details on what's being done.
Surveillance video shows the attack, which happened last month. 23-year-old Arina Zarutska boards the Blue Line train in Charlotte, North Carolina, and simply takes her seat. The man who is sitting behind her, identified as DeCarlos Brown Jr., attacks her unprovoked. Brown was charged federally with one count of committing an act causing death on a mass transportation system.
We built a city that people want to live in, but we can lose that all if we allow violent crime like this to go on in our streets. And I'm here to tell you, the federal government is going to save our city from that.
The slaying fueling a White House law and order crusade targeting Democratic-led cities.
She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country.
Family members told CNN Brown was living in a homeless shelter. They said he'd been diagnosed with schizophrenia. Charlotte Transit officials say they are unsure that increased policing could stop an act like this from happening.
He wasn't interfacing in a manner that would have triggered attention to him that he was about to do a heinous act.
The suspect is in custody and charged in North Carolina with first-degree murder.
She fled amid the deadliest land war in Europe since World War II. She fled to the safety, or so she thought, of the United States.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
And we are just getting started this evening. Coming up ahead on Coast TV at 11, a look at the brand new iPhone Air. But will shoppers bite as people think twice about big purchases? And coming up, new efforts on housing and homelessness in Georgetown. Why some say the crisis has gotten worse.
Take a look at your Bay forecast. Watching out for a very wet Wednesday. We'll have more details on your forecast in just 60 seconds. Well, we're watching out for widely scattered showers for tonight going into tomorrow. And that's pretty much the rule of the day. But that's okay. You see, we pay with the ugly weather now, but we have a benefit of beautiful weather over the weekend. Not a bad trade-off, right? So in Ocean City, dry tech, 68 degrees at this time. We are going to stay in the upper 60s to lower 70s for the rest of this evening under partly to mostly clear skies. Now, temperatures right now are well into the 60s. We're at 64 degrees in Georgetown as well as Millsboro, just 1 degree warmer than that in places like Gumboro, Laurel, Delmar, as well as Dagsboro. Live radar remaining very clear at this point, and we will kind of stay that way. Well, we are a little bit concerned about the possibility of flooding. A newly issued coastal flood advisory is the reason why our spidey senses are tingling in that sense of the word, and that's going to be a concern for us throughout tonight going into Wednesday till about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, in addition to that, we are concerned about the small craft advisory staying active, and actually a beach hazard concern for us around Ocean City, meaning we could see some degradation of the beaches because of the very gusty and vibrant winds. And here's an example of that with the wind gust. 32-mile-per-hour wind gust being recorded right now in Indian River Inlet, 23-mile-per-hour gust, Ocean City. As far as our futurecast is concerned, we're going to be calling for the winds to still stay very active going into Wednesday, particularly by 3 o'clock, where we're looking at about near 30-mile-per-hour winds coming out of the north. Along the coast, 75 for the high in Dewey Beach, as well as Ocean City, and the winds out of the northeast ranging between 18 to up to 23 to 25 mile per hour winds. Sprinkles begin as early as 3 o'clock in the morning for Wednesday. Then we get a bit of a break, staying very cloudy. And then we see spotty sprinkles dancing between Fenwick Island and Ocean City particularly. Then it flares back up near Georgetown at about 3:30. We're going to keep that scattered pattern. So wet on Wednesday for Chincoteague and Assateague, but becoming progressively clearer as we go closer to the weekend. Same situation Fenwick Island as we go from 75 to 77, and we hold serve at 77 for Thursday and Friday. Lewis, we go from 78 down to 77, but we go from partly cloudy skies to mostly clear skies. By the way, a quick reminder, our walk for prostate cancer is this Saturday, 8 o'clock pre-registration for the folks that have already registered. And remember, this is a walk not only to raise awareness about prostate cancer, but if you show up as a male, you can have a free blood blood, not digital, but blood screening, absolutely free no matter what kind of shape your insurance is in. That's part of our benefit for you for the event. Finally, here's a look at your extended forecast.
All right, thank you, Paul. A new committee was created this week by the Georgetown Town Council. They say it's to tackle supportive housing issues and homelessness. The committee plans to look at services that are currently in place to help homeless people, and there are already 42 supportive houses within the town. But as Ana Sofia Roman reports, the goal is not to add more, but to work with those existing services and make sure resources are being used properly.
Two big topics in Georgetown right now are homelessness and supportive housing issues, which is for people recovering from substance use disorders or those who came out of jail and remain on parole, among others. The town points existing resources are bringing more homeless to town.
The town has worked very hard in the past through the mayor and the council to get their arms around the issue. The town has been very generous to a lot of these organizations and welcoming because we are the county seat and that's what we do. But now the problem is out of hand.
Jim Martin, director at the Shepherd's office, says he's never seen as many homeless people as he has seen over the last couple of years. Today, he's grateful new things will be done at a higher level.
We have a housing crisis and we need the experts to step up and really think through this and figure out how we're going to figure this problem out, because I think it's just going to get worse.
One of the 10 members is Trish Hill, program manager at the Georgetown Pallet Village.
I think the important thing is to have the community involved. Without the community support, nothing is going to get solved. So with the entire community involved, I think we can come together and have some consensus, and I think that people will at least feel their voices are heard.
Working together for the community.
In Georgetown, Ana Sofia Roman, Coast TV News.
And according to the town, the committee has 6 months to study local housing needs and homelessness, and then they'll present recommendations to the town about how the town should move forward. Coming up next, the men behind Ben & Jerry's are calling for change, why they say the company should stand on its own again. The co-founders of Ben & Jerry's want the iconic ice cream brand to operate independently again. Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield sold the ice cream company to another company called Unilever in 2000. In an open letter Tuesday, they asked the Ben & Jerry's to be spun off to operate on its own after a series of disputes over the years. They say the brand's voice has been silenced when it's tried to weigh in on social issues, but in response to the letter, Unilever said Ben & Jerry's is not for sale. Well, in its most important announcement of the year, Apple announces the latest version of the iPhone and other gadgets. As Karen Kafa explains, this is in the midst of a tug-of-war between shareholders and more cost-conscious consumers.
Apple on Tuesday announcing the latest iPhone among other gadgets and trying to get consumers hyped in uncertain economic times.
iPhone Air is a total game changer.
Apple's latest gadgets land as President Donald Trump's trade wars squeeze the company's bottom line. The tech giant expects to take a $1.1 billion tariff-related hit just this quarter. And as consumers eye big-ticket purchases more carefully.
It has to be worth it for someone to say, okay, let me trade in my device and get a phone that costs more than $1,000.
CNET senior technology reporter Abrar Al-Hiti says Apple's recent offerings and sales have had ups and downs.
This does feel like a really critical time for Apple to stand out, whether it's, making its devices more powerful or rolling out something like a thinner iPhone. This is the time for it to say we are still an innovative company. We are still on top of our game.
In the tariff environment, Courtney Linwall of Consumer Reports says their price tracking analysts have noticed tech companies overall taking a more conservative approach to new products.
Companies are not putting out as many new models, and those models maybe aren't taking as many leaps forward with new features, innovation. So it just seems like in general, there's a bit more perhaps conservatism and like companies are waiting to see.
As consumers, Linwall says, reason with the value of an upgrade.
Making folks feel like there's something worth it to go out and buy, something exciting to go out and buy. So I'm sure Apple is feeling that pressure.
Coming up in sports tonight, how the NFL ruled regarding Eagles star Jalen Carter spitting on Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott last week. And coming up, new research on undiagnosed diabetes. How many people with the disease might not know they have it.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Every year on this day, September 9th, International FASD Awareness Day is observed. FASD, or fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, is a result of drinking during pregnancy, and today people are raising awareness to support families who struggle with FASD. It was first celebrated on September 9th, 1999, on the 9th day of the 9th month of the 9th year. The world will remember that during the 9 months of pregnancy, a woman should abstain from alcohol. And you can learn more by following the FASD Alliance of Delaware. Well, nearly half of people with diabetes around the world don't know they have diabetes. That's according to a new study that found 44% of people age 15 and older with diabetes are undiagnosed. The research, which looked at data from more than 200 countries and territories, revealed some key differences: that younger people are less likely to be diagnosed, and higher income countries are better at identifying the disease. Experts say early diagnosis is key because undiagnosed diabetes leads to long-term problems. September is also National Suicide Prevention Month. Suicide is one of the leading causes of death in the U.S., affecting millions of people. Current treatment for suicidal depression can come with risks, but scientists are studying a different way to help patients. And in tonight's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on current research into how the anesthetic ketamine might be able to help.
In the U.S., it's a major public health concern. The CDC says there was one death by suicide every 11 minutes in 2023, and the agency reports nearly 13 million adults seriously thought about suicide, with 1.5 million attempts in that year.
Many suicides are preventable.
Dr. Brian Barnett is co-principal investigator of the Cleveland Clinic site of a study looking into treatment options for those who have severe suicidal depression. Currently, treatment options include psychotherapy, prescription medications, and in severe cases when other options aren't working, electroconvulsive therapy or ECT may be used.
Which is the gold standard treatment for depression and suicidal ideation.
Barnett and other researchers are also looking into ketamine as another potential treatment option. It's currently FDA approved only for use as an anesthetic.
And then about 25 years ago, we learned that it could actually be used to treat treatment-resistant depression as well as suicidal thoughts. And the study that we're doing is looking at those two treatments head-to-head to see whether ketamine delivered intravenously is as effective as ECT.
Barnett says research results won't be known for years, but the study is currently ongoing at several sites across the U.S. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And earlier this year, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration expanded approval for the ketamine-derived drug nasal spray. It's called Spravato, allowing it to be used as a standalone treatment for patients with severe depression.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
In the NFL, Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter was punished by the league. Phillies All-Pro has been fined more than $57,000 for what you see behind me: Carter spitting on Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott in last Thursday's opener. As a result, the defensive tackle was ejected from the game, which the Eagles won, before he played a snap. That actually helped Carter's case with the NFL. The league slapped a retroactive suspension on the Super Bowl champ, meaning he'll be available for Sunday's rematch against the Chiefs. Essentially, Carter already served his sentence in the Dallas game. After the Eagles beat the Cowboys, the D lineman said he spit on Prescott in retaliation. Carter claimed Dallas's quarterback spit in his direction first. Prescott denied any ill intent. After the NFL's ruling, there was another question with Carter that needed answering. Would Philadelphia void the guarantees left on the former first-rounder's rookie deal? Per Yahoo Sports, the Eagles agreed not to. This doesn't mean the team won't discipline Carter themselves, though. Head coach Nick Sirianni has already stated whatever the Eagles decide on won't be released to the public, even if that means Carter is set to be benched against Kansas City. Only time will tell if Carter is starting on Sunday afternoon at 4:25. That'll do it for sports. Have a great night.
And we have more sports when we're back. How you can score FIFA World Cup tickets starting tomorrow. The first phase of FIFA World Cup ticket sales begins tomorrow. The Visa pre-sale draw opens at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for qualifying Visa card holders, and the entry period closes Friday, September 19th. Successful applicants will be given a date and time slot to try and purchase tickets in October, and then additional ticket draws will be available later in October.
In Laurel, right now, we're looking at 65 degrees, dew point temperature of 62. Winds are out of the northeast at 8 miles per hour. We're going to stay in the 60s for the rest of the night and have partly to mostly cloudy skies. Our umbrella giveaway winner is John Killian of Ocean Pines. Congratulations, one of our Maryland viewers, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling. You can check on your forecast. It's simply a call away. Call 443-880-9100. Sponsored by the law offices of Brockstead, Mendalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. A couple of things to keep in mind. First of all, tomorrow you're going to need the umbrella. Although it's not going to be all-day deluge of rain, it's going to be kind of spitting sprinkles, light rain, moderate showers. It's going to be just a dismal, kind of dreary day. And then we'll clear out just in time for a glorious weekend. And of course, the prostate cancer walk. And you can still sign up, by the way, on Saturday. And remember, free PSA blood screening.
All right, thank you again, Paul, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. You can always find more news, more local weather on our Coast TV News app. Tonight's show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.